So let's talk about a bit of a, to the degree that you feel comfortable with, the storytelling aspect, in the sense that when you overcome your pain and your trauma, it's already an ordeal in itself. It's a journey that you gain the maturity, the experience that
Mhm.
eventually you feel strong enough to share with others. But when you have to revisit the experiences by accounts of others that come to you to share the painful experiences, it's almost like one of those things. If you're a hero, one of the traits of a hero, which I consider you one, is they internally they bleed every time they witness and share the suffering of others that they are trying to rescue and help. So how much that affects you, if you have a strategy how to deal with it, and I'm sure your faith and everything else that you do in terms of healing yourself will be there for that occasion. How do you cope with that? And if there's any story or stories that you want to share, that people that came to you and eventually you saw them at another time, and the progress that took place, whichever there was, through the work that you do.
I think those are amazing questions with a lot of insight because, there's a lot of truth to that. And regardless of if you have had trauma in your background or not, I think that hearing about a child or youth that has experienced the horrors of being sexually abused and groomed, that's hard to hear regardless,
Hmm.
right? I mean, even when we talk about this to the general public and we do our trainings, no matter what, it can sometimes provoke a sense of shame in both speaker and listener just because of the nature of the topic that is being discussed. But that alone should just show you how malevolent this crime is. The fact that nobody wants to talk about it, it just shows you how deeply demonic it is, right? The fact that people want to shut down, that they don't want to hear about it, they don't want to address it, they don't want to confront it.
Tell me about it. Do you see a bias in the media covering this? Do you feel like they always try to push under the rug a little bit when it comes to that kind of topic?
I think that institutions are really some of the worst when it comes to brushing it under the rug, denying a survivor's experience, silencing a survivor. Some institutions will make survivors sign non disclosure agreements.
Mm.
And it's because they care about their own institution. They care about the way they look to the American people. They care about themselves more than they care about the well being and the safety of the child or the youth. And so that just goes to show, child protection is very simple, it's not complicated.
Mm.
It's not complicated at all. Do you value the child or youth's best interest,
Hmm.
or do you value your own interests
Yeah.
over the child's interests? And so, what we've seen with this crime specifically is that fear will grip people
Hmm.
stronger than the truth that's behind hope in addressing
You
this.
mentioned child protection. I kind of like, you just crossed my mind here. Um, when you have services like that in charge of child protection, what's the prevalence of this type of crime in foster homes? Do you have any stats on that, or
You know,
is that?
foster homes, there's trauma regardless many times in their background, and that's what makes them, foster children for some reason or another because of their background. They need to be fostered. But abuse is very high, regardless whether it's neglect or verbal abuse or physical abuse.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, there's a lot of childhood trauma,
Yeah.
when you look at foster. But as far as overall prevalence, research is mixed because it's hard to really know with disclosure rates being what they are. But
Mhm.
essentially, historically in the past, research has shown 1 in 3 girls are sexually abused before the age of 18, and 1 in 6 boys are sexually abused before the age of 18.
Mm.
So it is a prevalent problem. And I am hopeful, and I do believe that now, more than any other year or any other generation, there's a greater hope in awareness and shedding light on this specific crime, because this crime is allowed to thrive in silence. Predators are counting on people to be cowards. Predators are counting on people to be silent and to shrink back in fear and to say, well, not this person, or Pastor so-and-so would never do that, or this person would never do that, or there's no way this person could be a predator. And so if a victim does come forward, they're shut down. Guarantee you there's someone listening now that has probably tried to report or probably tried to tell in their life, and they were likely shut down by someone.
So you mentioned a ratio here, 1 every 6 for boys, and you said 1 in 12 for girls?
1 in 3 for
1 in
girls.
3 for girls, double. Okay, what is the stats? Because I know I saw one interview that you had a while back in which there was a point that caught my eyes. What was the stats officially, and what was the likely stats of unreported accounts that were not official then? Okay, so what's the scenario nowadays? For instance, I thought I heard the number 42 million Americans have been affected by this crime, and then there's no telling how many more. Do you have a picture so people have an idea of the scope of this thing?
Yeah, there's comparisons and are helpful for people. So it is estimated. Again, a lot of these are estimations because not everyone reports, not everyone tells, and unfortunately, some people go to the grave with this pain. So estimated is 42 million survivors in just in America alone, just in our great country, just in the United States. And comparison, like this is about 2 times the amount of Americans living with cancer. So it is a problem. It's massive. It's so massive, and it's to a degree getting more massive because of its online presence.
Yeah,
That's
that's another problem in itself.
that's
Right?
a
Because
whole
now
nother problem.
predators, they can operate
Yes.
anonymously. They don't even reveal themselves until
Right.
wow.
They can cover, they can really cover, and they can really pretend to be someone that they're not, and they can really establish a relationship. And if you talk to, different ICAC members, Internet Crimes Against Children Division, I've had the great honor of training lots of different ICAC members, and they will tell you that it's really not very difficult. It's not very hard to groom a child or a youth online. You just get into social media, or you get into gaming for young boys. You get into, whatever computer program they're wanting to do. Or social media app that they're using. You get into that, and then you find a vulnerability. You start liking, you start commenting, and you pick out the ones that have the lowest self-esteem, the ones that need to be told they're beautiful, the ones that need to be told. And what research actually shows on young youth, on young girls, it's quite sad. The 2 things that work on young girls is, number 1, telling them that they're beautiful, and number 2, telling them, I love you. Because I think a lot of young girls are not hearing these 2 things within their own homes.
Yeah.
Or if they are hearing it, they don't believe it. And so what's happening, where it's that easy to compliment a young girl and develop a relationship with her online, where now you've got her and now you can ask for photos and request, well, you said you loved me, so why don't you just take a photo of yourself and send it? And so it's unfortunately out of control online.
Yeah. What is the level of effective prosecution in the cases that are revealed with because you had 42 million, let's say the estimate on officially on the number of survivors. Out of that, how many instances the perpetrators pay the price of legal action?
So this is troubling where we're going to go here. This is very troubling research. Nationally, statistically, less than 10% of offenders are ever actually apprehended. It's because there's a lot of reasons for that. Number one, victims are afraid to report. And if they do report, many times it's delayed. So they don't tell the first time, they tell maybe a year or two later, which is normal. And when you look at disclosure process, one research study suggested that it can take a victim a lifetime to really remember all of the things that all the trauma that they went through. So there's the fear of reporting. And then you also have predators are really good at what they do. So they know how to silence, they know how to fear, they know how to go off the radar. And when you look at serial predators and their timing for when to strike, they don't always strike. They know when to strike and they know when to back off. So they may strike, and if they think the victim is getting close to reporting, they'll back off for weeks. They may back off for months. And that's where for me personally, a lot of my post-traumatic stress came in because it happened not once, but for many years. And it happened for many years because I thought it was over many times. Because I think, oh, I never know if I'm in a situation where I'm safe or I'm going to be attacked. Because sometimes our family would be with this person and I'm safe. So sometimes I'm safe and sometimes I'm not safe. That's really difficult for the mind of a young child to know, I don't know when I'm ever going to be safe. So the thing is that these predators really know when to strike and when to back off.
Gotcha. Now, and I'm sure it may have happened. A lot of times you see different states, they take a lighter approach
Mm,
to how they deal with criminals, and not only different crimes, but in particular this, because you see cases of rape victims that the perpetrator is caught, goes to jail, and then is released after a while.
yes.
How that translates or relates to the sexual abuse uh, victim when actually there is a report, and how effective the legal system handles the situation from then on, or if it varies the way you have seen on occasion.
It varies greatly. It depends on your state. It depends on your courts. It depends on if your case gets taken up or if your case gets no billed. It's a very difficult. It's a very difficult process
Mhm.
to navigate, to be on that side of victim services, and so all the more reason why I feel extremely grateful and I have so much gratitude for the fact that I was able to receive justice.
Mhm.
And this predator did go to prison for a very long time, and I didn't realize at the time this was not normal. I didn't realize, at 16 years old when I finally reported and he was sent to prison, I knew it was a big deal. But then coming out of this and being in victim advocacy, now I see how difficult it actually is to prosecute
Mm.
because, these predators, they know how to keep their victims silent. And because delayed disclosure is normal, it can be difficult to have evidence.